Today on the program, NLC, TUC agreed to strike, meet federal government on June 19. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otoju and Adewale Aduye. If you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. The 10th Lagos Assembly has been inaugurated. With it comes history. A member representing Agege constituency 1 at the Lagos State House of Assembly, Mudashiru Obasa, has been re-elected the Speaker for the third time. Obasa, who was nominated by Temitope Adewale representing Ifakojayi constituency 1, emerged as the Speaker of the 10th Assembly shortly after Governor Sanwo-Olu proclaimed the Assembly open. Lagos Assembly with other House of Assemblies around the country, most of them opened yesterday and some opening today, but the return of Mudashiru, Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa, Agege 1 constituency is of note today.
Yes, Mudashiru Ajayi Obasa is a history maker. This is unprecedented, and it shows the level of love that his people have for him. I was at his 50th birthday, and I saw that love, demonstrated in bold relief. There is no doubt about it that, yes, he may not be the oldest in the house. So many of them older than him, but it's not.
It's not by age.
It's not by age. It is by grace, It has pleased God to make him the leader, and his people clearly like his leadership. Otherwise, he won't be so unanimously elected. It's not easy to be Speaker of Lagos State, not to talk of to be Speaker again and again and again. So there's something about him. Something about him.
By the time you complete this tenure, you make 12 years
as Speaker.
As Speaker. What time? The legislative arm of government is different. It's not like the executive that's just 2 terms. You could go on and on. The more you go,
for as long as
you want.
Voters permit him.
Yes,
you can.
First among equals.
Obasa and the man in Borno State, Abdul Karim, the Speaker, they are 2 special people. They've been there for so long. Both of them have led the Conference of Speakers at one time.
Yes. Obasa just last year or so, before the election, was chairman of.
I think 2 years ago, or even 3 years ago. It's been there sometime.
This is like a vote of confidence on the 39 other members given to Mudashiru Obasa.
I think one thing impressive about his emergence, is the ability to manage the divergent
tendencies.
It wasn't as if there are other people that are not interested. There are other people, but the ability to, horse trading, to manage the differences and also to agree, have a common ground. There's no doubt that somebody who has been there since 2015 as the Speaker of the House, you can't throw away his experience. And I think experience is key, when you are talking about managing the 40-member parliament. And I believe it's a very unique time in the history of Lagos State that Lagos State also has produced the president of this country. So, and I think one thing also important that we need to notice about Lagos is stability since 1999. It's been the same party, and I think that has helped growth and development. They have been able to manage internal contradictions. It's not as if they are not there. The ability to resolve them, I think is a key issue. We have never had a period where there is outburst of disagreement between the executive and the legislative. So I think that is a plus to them. And I believe we will continue, with this kind of managerial skill in the next 4 years, which I think will help growth, the stability and development of Lagos State.
Jude, the final thing I find amazing about leaders in Lagos State, especially from the Speaker to the Deputy Governor and the Governor, is accessibility, humble and accessible. This guy, anywhere I see Mudashiru Obasa, is very accessible. He's not somebody that goes around with ears around him. Very down to earth, humble.
He's had a humble beginning. For those who knew him, or know him very well, he was a councillor. He rose from being a councillor to become
grassroots.
a member. Yes, I remember in those days where I used to work when his posters were being printed as a councillor. So
Councillor,
he
has
to tell
how
yes,
legislature
yes, he's a trained lawyer, but he started as a councillor. And from being a councillor, you can see where he is today. And as it's often said, it's God that gives people power. So it has pleased God to place him where he is, and he has found a way, to juggle things, using street wisdom to manage easily the best House of Assembly in Nigeria.
most vibrant.
Yes, managing them in a manner that their quarrels don't always blow open. Just as you said, it's not as if they don't quarrel among themselves, but the thing is they are able to manage it within the family, and everybody returns home happy. And Lagos has a system that is not present in other places. The Governor's Advisory Council,
GSC.
When
they're just adopting it in other states.
They stepped in and said, look, we have adopted Obasa as Speaker again. And a few days after they said so, look at what happened. He got re-elected. So those old men have a strong voice. Asiwaju has always pandered to them.
Those are the representatives
under a different governor.
Yes.
Under a different governor, they still have their voice. They still have their relevance. And they step in, even when there are critical issues affecting the House, affecting Lagos, they will step in to say, look, this is how we want this result. They stepped in so many times, and we can only pray for Mudashiru Obasa that he will continue to justify the confidence reposed in him by his colleagues.
I want to say congratulations to Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa, that is from Honorable Olorunibe Mamora in 1999 down to Joko Pelumi, and from Joko Pelumi to the Adeyemi Ikuforiji. Now we have Mudashiru Obasa as the third, as the Speaker of the Lagos House of Assembly to speak on for the third time Speaker. Moving on now, like an idea whose time has come, it appears nothing can stop the Tinubu presidency. The Federal High Court, sitting in Abuja, has struck out the suit filed by 5 residents of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, seeking to stop the 2023 presidential inauguration. The resident had prayed the courts to halt the inauguration on the grounds that President Bola Tinubu did not secure 25% of the votes cast in FCT. Delivering the ruling, Justice Ekwo found the suit as unprofessional, reckless, frivolous, and lacking complete knowledge of elementary principle of law. The court fined the lawyer the sum of 20 million naira. Julie, this is another abuse of court process.
Very responsible case, brought up. When the judge said it showed a lack of elementary knowledge of the law, this lawyer should have known that you can only challenge the emergence of a president-elect if you took part in the election. You didn't take part in the election, you cannot
sue. So you don't have the locus.
You have no locus. It's just like you getting up one day and say, okay, I don't like the fact that Sanwo-Olu has emerged. Let me go to court to challenge Sanwo-Olu. Why?
You must be a participant.
You must have contested with him in that election. So when some people come together and say they are residents of Abuja, since when did you become residents of Abuja? People who are born there, People who own the land. They are not the ones who said they are suing, no. And if any lawyer gathers people for reasons best known to him, that lawyer must know that he must operate within the ambit of the law. We are not lawyers, but we know some of these things. I've been saying this thing.
If you covering judiciary, if you be monitoring cases, you will understand these things.
I've never covered the judiciary.
But you've been an
But I ask questions.
editor of people covering judiciary.
Yes,
yeah.
I ask questions.
Yes.
All the time I ask questions. I know that, and I said it on this program that it was a waste of time because they didn't take part in the election. They have no right to sue.
It is Peter Obi.
Yes,
that is asking the question at the tribunal.
It's
that is a valid person.
And Atiku
Abubakar,
who can challenge the emergence of this person. So to go to court and say, okay, if somebody does not have 25%, when you did not contest against him, you did not lose to him. If you lost to him, you can challenge the manner in which the election went, and you can say, okay, I feel wronged, I feel offended, I feel cheated. Lawyers should know some of these things. But deliberately, just as Libero said on one of our programs, senior lawyers coming on air to mislead Nigerians, to say, no, you must have this, you cannot be president if you do not have this, just because they don't like the person who has emerged. And then they join little minds in saying what makes absolutely no sense. Because this is a season when people simply just demonstrate their anger about reality.
Now this judgment is not even going into the merit of the case. He's saying that you don't have...
They will not. Why would the judge go into the merit of a case? That the judge knows that even he does not have jurisdiction on the matter. The matter is before what's it called? It's before the tribunal already. So the lawyer, the judge, did not sit. He said he was...
he went on course. Yes, I remember.
Even if he sat, it will have been the same outcome.
Yes.
So all of the noise, he stayed away
that day
because they didn't...
Yes, they were accusing him that day because he stayed away, and the lawyer was ranting after the court. The court.
Now, you see, now he's been fined 20 million.
Yes, for that action.
He has, if he finds it difficult to pay this 20 million, he has to first seek the leave of the court to appeal.
I think there's even a disciplinary action.
Yeah, no, the lawyer was saying it. Now, I'm heading somewhere. He has to seek the leave of the court to challenge this 20 million. Do you think this same lawyer, this same judge that you've been abused, you go before his court to say, please, this 20 million is too much, sir. What can you do for me over this 20 million, sir? Somebody that you have abused in the press in the most reckless and irresponsible manner. I've said it that some of the lawyers need to be disciplined. I don't know what really is the problem. If you are filing frivolous cases, just to waste the time of the court, just to whip up sentiment within and heat up the polity, then they need to do something about you. That was not a case. You can't bring that kind of matter. Some days to the inauguration.
Yes, Wale, I remember the verdict was meant to come from, I think, a Friday before the inauguration, and the court did not sit. So the lawyer went on the free-for-all, saying all sorts of things. Yeah. People were around him and everything. I remember.
You know, we sought one of the prayers that, the President Buhari's tenure should be extended. A
court.
Now ask yourself, a lawyer, you are calling for annulment of the Constitution because the Constitution is clear. If there is an election, the person in power will hand over to President-elect. And the court said, apart from the issue of jurisdiction, that this same case is before the election petition
tribunal.
There are all sorts of people that are just looking for publicity stunt, coming up with all sorts of frivolous cases. And I think I like the courage of that judge. This is what other judges do abroad. If they impose sanctions on you, next time you'll be very careful.
Yes, so that if
you appease this case,
your clients that this
maybe his fine will be doubled. Because there are so many cases, we are saying that judiciary is not effective and all that because there are so many frivolous cases. We just come with all sorts of things that are not.
And lawyers will not advise their clients.
And they know that this thing will not go anywhere. But just because they are looking for cheap publicity, they just come with all sorts of, So I think this should be a lesson to lawyers who are seeking publicity, trying to ride on the horse of the electoral circumstances to just bring themselves into, a fame. I think it's a very good lesson, and I hope other lawyers will learn from it so that next time, and he has referred it to the Legal Professional Disciplinary Committee. We should be doing such things. If you are, they should be disciplined. It should be disciplined. If not, other lawyers will do the same thing next time and file all sort of case just because you want to, divert attention to yourself. So I think I love the courage of that judge, and I hope this will serve as a precedent to other, lawyers who know the right thing but decided to, avoid it.
From what Wale just said, Najide, how come some people will just go to court to feel that the courts can just do the impossible? When you are saying part of the relief you are seeking is Muhammadu Buhari that was tired already, that wanted to hand over in a hurry to go back to Dara. They are still telling him to stay. And they think that court can sit there and stop say Muhammadu Buhari. How can
Buhari, you see, what is there really common sense in this? How can Buhari stay a day longer without an alteration to the Constitution? The Constitution has also stipulated, has stipulated a number of days that he can be in office. And there's no room for any form of abeyance. It gives no room for it.
At all.
No room for it.
Normally.
It stipulates when he has to go back home. And you are now saying that, okay, he should stay because you are looking for, you hate Tinubu so much that you are badly looking for inauguration. You are looking for interim government.
Yes.
Some of you went to kneel down to beg soldiers that they should come and take over. People who were in their diapers when people were being killed under the military rule. You've never seen military rule in your lives. You sheepishly went seeking for military rule, asking for you don't know what you don't know about. It's just like the woman who was screaming, help me, help me, help me. If they carry me, they go where I don't know. That's exactly what it is. Do you know what military rule is? Do you know? Even in Egypt,
that was the cheapest idea.
when they faced, when the Muslim Brotherhood faced military rule, you saw what Al-Sisi did to them. Even in the end, their leader died. People don't know what you are talking about. You want military rule. Have you been under military rule before? I looked at the pictures of those delusional people who went to the defense headquarters, and I saw, look at these ones. Look at these ones. When we were fighting for this civil rule, with some of our people losing their lives, Bagauda some ran mad in detention. Where were they?
You can tell them also.
Where were they? We had friends who lost their lives. We had friends who ran mad in detention. We have people like Kunle Ajibade ended up in Makurdi prison for a story that I wrote.
Till tomorrow.
Where were they?
Till tomorrow.
You see, one day we were discussing, he told me, said people don't know what prison is. So my boss, Kunle Ajibade, was telling me, I can't say some of what he told me here. You know? And my father still reserves a place in his heart for him, because he knows that it is the prison that his son should have gone to that this editor went to.
You wrote that story?
I was the one who called the story. So my father, every time my father will ask, how is Kunle Ajibade? How is Kunle Ajibade? Because he knows that he went to jail for my sake. In the military rule.
They don't want
and a bunch of delusional people will go and be asking for civil rule because they don't like the person who won an election that he won, hands down. So what are we talking about? Unless they begin to punish lawyers who go to waste the time of the court, this thing will not stop. And the punishment should even go beyond fine.
Yeah.
Some of them, if they've shown that they do not desire to practice the profession anymore, they need to be shown the door. It's as simple as that.
Okay, another one down there. More to go. For President Bola Tinubu, it is time to assemble the team that will help him deliver on his renewed hope mandates. The Senate has approved President Tinubu's requests to appoint 20 special advisors. The Senate President Ahmed Lawal read the President's request on the floor of the upper legislative chambers. In the request, the president did not disclose the identity of the 20 special advisors. Tinubu is setting up his team, and a lot of people think that after this 9th Assembly, the inauguration of the 10th Assembly, the ministerial list, much talked about ministerial list, will be presented to the 10th Assembly.
I think,
but this is special advisor, cabinet members also.
I think the new government, to me, seems to be meticulous. And you're also being careful not to run foul of the law. Some people have been saying that, up till now, no ministers and all that. Whereas the governor, the president of the country cannot just appoint ministers like that. There is a National Assembly. And we expect this current, National Assembly to end its tenure, I think, in a few days' time. 13th. A new National Assembly will come in. That we now look at the list, the ministerial list. They are proclaiming after they must have appointed principal officers.
Yes.
Before you can now present the list of. So things.
They don't know what the law says. Yeah. Somebody was ranting on TV. Up till now, he has not chosen. He wants him to go against the law.
Yeah, he can't. He can't. He has to wait for the National Assembly to appoint principal officers, and then after that, he will now present the list. So there's a process, a democratic process. So I think the government is being meticulous, which I think is good. And requesting for 20 advisors is just to ensure that at least some people need to run, their affairs at a level before we now talk about the. So I think it's a good thing. We are anxious to see the list, but I believe that we are anxious to see credible people, and I have no doubt in my mind that Nigerians should be happy at the end of the list.
From what I've gathered from Nigerians, they want a kind of breath of fresh air. They don't want recycled elements.
No.
Nigerians want people that that, like their mantra says, renew hope. That will renew their hopes. As in, they want politicians that we've seen in the past. What is the essence of waiting for 6 months to get me a Lai Mohammed? 6 months. If you remember that time.
You are not going to get a Lai Mohammed. You are not going to get a Lai Mohammed.
I hope so.
You're not going to get a Lai Mohammed. Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu will find the right people. He knows those who can perform. He's done this even for other administrations apart from his. So he always finds a way to find the right talent. And we are confident that in this case, we will find the people who will be singing from the same hymnal with him, who will bring the change that Nigeria wants. Already, the idea of a unified forest window is a change that Nigerians want.
Yeah.
It's a change, and he has reiterated it. So, somebody is a man who has been in business, he knows what the problems are. He knows what the problems are, and I'm confident that he will find the people to help him fix Nigeria. A lot of us have been wondering who are the people. Usually it's media team that by now he ought to have a media team. But you can see that a man who is doing things according to procedure is not simply going to be picking people up and down.
He has requested from the Senate to give me a set of individuals, and once the approval is granted, he's going to name them.
Yes, he will name them. Everything is proceeding at the right pace. There is no way he will still not use politicians, but he must find the best balance. He must find the right balance.
Because politicians helped him.
They will help him to office, and he will need them.
He will need them.
He will need them in
But we don't need the cabinet crowded.
No. I don't think that's the sort of cabinet that we are going to. Even when he was governor of Lagos, as I said before in this program, Tinubu described himself as someone who had a cabinet of expatriates. He was referring to the people working with him as expatriates because they are not career politicians. You can't look at Dele Alake and call him a career politician.
Tunji
Bello was not a career politician. He was journalists You know, are journalists on their own. So they were not career politicians. So at the end of the day, that is what Nigerians expect to see. And they will be eager to see whether, in terms of the people that he has chosen, he has plans to change the course of our country. Because if his ministers are saturated by the tired old politicians, some of them, their faces looking like somebody suffering from constipation, the president will come across as somebody who is not serious. So this is what you can give us. That's what they're going to say. So I'm sure he knows that he has to find that balance, and he's been speaking with people. So the people that he wants, he's already met them. Some of them abroad, some of them here. You know, so on those occasions when they felt, every time he traveled, they felt he went to take medical care. He was also meeting some of the people that he want to use in his cabinet. You know, they think every time he travels, he wants is to go and treat himself. But it was during one of those journeys that he met Kwankwaso. So if you are on the sick bed, will you have time to be talking to Kwankwaso? You know, I don't understand these people again. Honestly, I don't understand. But we look forward to the best, and hopefully some of the people that we trust will be in that cabinet, and it will make his job easier if he finds the right people.
All right. We'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still journalist Hangout. We'll be right back after this time out. Please don't go away.
In today's world, our lifestyle, both at work and at play, depends on connectivity. Our connectivity depends on the devices that make it possible, and these devices depend on electric power. When power fails, our life shrinks, our work drops, and our joy dips. JRB Solar Energy Systems are here to ensure that we enjoy uninterruptible power, uninterruptible joy. Whether you're running a business, an institution, or just a home you return daily to rest, JRB has got you covered. No project is too big for our super digital inverters, long-lasting batteries, and efficient solar panels. Go. Dream on. Change your world. JRB solar inverters, batteries, solar panels, solar streetlights, and more. Telephone 0906 752 1111. Email sales@jrbsolar.com. With JRB, the sun's gonna shine on everything you do.
New beginnings are always colorful. When we celebrate the start of life's journey, we marry in colors. With our proudly Nigerian Dulux paints, now available in any color. Express your world however you want it. Visit a Dulux color center to get any color instantly.
Dulux, let's color.
Get ready for an inspiring journey into the world of Nigerian media and the life of one of its brightest stars. Introducing Becoming the Queen of Talk TV, the highly anticipated debut book from Moriah Afolabi Brown, the host of Nigeria's #1 breakfast show, Your View. With over 2,300 episodes of Your View under her belt, Moriah is known as the Nigerian Queen of Talk. Her passion for speaking up for women has made her an influential figure in the media industry, both locally and internationally. In her first published book, Moriah takes readers on a journey through her remarkable career, chronicling her life story and swift rise to success. Mark your calendars for June 2023, when this one-of-a-kind book will be unveiled to the world.
Thank you for staying with us. If you're just joining us, this is TVC Journalist Hangout. And what could have been the baptism of fire for the new administration regarding the national strike has been postponed. The Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, TUC, and the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, have shelved their planned nationwide strike following an agreement with the federal government. Organized labor and the federal government are to meet on June 19 to agree on the implementation of the framework. Meanwhile, one of Nigeria's foremost labor leaders, Frank Kokori, had described the strike as unnecessary. Let's hear him.
That is why I'm confused with this type of national strike notice of 3 working days. Ultimatum of 3 working days for a national strike. I mean, talking seriously to the labor movement. Who is taking that decision? Where are this type of labor leaders from? You're talking of a national strike, serious, 7 days after inauguration of a government. You are talking of a national strike with 3 days working days notice. Strike of, is it economism? Strike of economism? No, you should at least even give us 14 days notice. Is it a political strike? Even a political strike that is purely political, like what Nupeng did? At least 7 days notice, working days. And you go into dialogue. I will appeal as the father and one of the founding fathers of Nupeng and Pengasi, that they know what I'm talking about. And they know the working of the oil industry. They should advise the Nigerian labor centers properly. They should not just go into a blind strike. Labor is the most critical sector of the economy. When I say labor, it's not members of Nigerian Labour Congress and the TUC. I'm talking of the Nigerian masses, including market women, laborers, artisans, and everybody. But labor is the best organized group. So obviously they should talk with government, not dictating to government. 3 days ultimatum, working days, it never happened anywhere. Of a national strike, not a branch strike. A branch strike takes a minimum of 14 days or 7 days notice. It's only a wildcat action that takes even less than 24 hours. And that is done in a very serious situation in a unit or a branch of a trade union.
We went all out yesterday. We dedicated an hour, on enlightening Nigerians about this strike. Yes. Thank God for the voice of reasoning. Thank God for that court action that was instituted, and that today we are not counting down to something that would have wreaked havoc on the economy that's still in comatose.
Yes, I think TUC, as one of the labor centers, needs to be commended for opening their doors to negotiation. You will not always agree with them, but to open their doors for dialogue was a critical step in taking us to where we are. And honestly, labor leadership has to always put the nation first. Must always put the nation first. As I said yesterday, Ajero has to think of not just his own future, but the future of his children. Because if we find ourselves in a situation in which Nigeria gets bankrupt, all of us are going to suffer. It's not the people in government alone. And no matter how much money an individual has packed and put in his bank, It's because you've not seen a serious economic crisis.
I'm telling you.
That money will
don't have
amount
access
to nothing.
Yes, look at that Naira, during the Naira redesign, look at what we faced.
I'm not even talking that. I'm talking about what countries like Greece, like Sri Lanka, are faced. Like, what was it called? Venezuela.
That's my own closest
That's
example.
real.
Access.
Let Nigerians who don't know, let them try to find out how it all began in some of those countries and the extent of the pains that people went through. Because it's easy for people to just open their mouths anyhow. Think of what those ones went through. You have money, you have so much money in the bank, you discover that you can do nothing with it. So, we can't allow this subsidy regime to make us bankrupt as a nation. We have reached the point, the point of no return. And labor leaders need to be properly, I think the FG team that is discussing with them, they have to come out, let these people know what's on ground. Because when people talk about money, that they said that they already released money for subsidy up to the end of the month. They need to tell them what is really on ground. That something was budgeted for does not mean that the cash backing was there. Nigeria is broke. This is a fact. Some time ago when I said Nigeria was broke, a columnist was abusing me. And I just shook my head. Today, is it not clear to all of us? A country that spends 96% of its earnings for debt servicing. Is that not the definition of being broke? And then in the first quarter of last year, we spent 118% of what we earned to service debt, which means you already took much more than you earned. Maybe you borrowed money to service debt in the first quarter of last year. During that same period, South Africa spent only 20% of its earnings. So you can see that we are not in good health. And that's why a good number of us oppose the continuation of the subsidy regime. There's no other reason. We are not saying labor should not fight for workers, fight for their members. It's a natural thing. But again, just as Kokori said, you don't embark on this kind of nationwide strike. Nationwide, not even branch, and give only 3 working days notice. And you can't say that you know much more than this man. These are the people, is a labor leader of international standing. So he knows what he's talking about. I've seen even health workers go on strike, not with 3 days notice. I've seen it. Because when these people went on strike the other day, resident doctors, we were monitoring it. Not 3 days. So our labor leaders must always put the country first. And let the discussion be an open one. Gentlemen, look, this is where we found ourselves. If they have information, I don't want to believe that labor leaders are unreasonable. If they have information, they will be able to take the information back to their constituents, back to their members, and say, see, these are the things we are confronted with. What do you think we should do? There's no doubt that there must be some level of cushioning of the effect of an increase in pump price. 160% increase in pump price of petrol is huge. There has to be some mitigating, yes. But at the same time, there should be no going back. You can see all of the people we spoke with yesterday, including the man abroad, said no going back. If we go back, we are finished as a country. And all of us must realize it's just our way of life will change. There was a time when if you are traveling to Abuja or anywhere, nobody tells you to remove your shoes. Nobody freaks you. Today, people will press your body, they will press your buttocks and all that to be sure that you are not an underwear bomber. It's all part of what we live through now, what we go through now. So even now, our way of life, if you are fond of filling your tank with reckless abandon, maybe this time you just take a
Get
quarter.
to filling station, fill up.
You just
Mouse
take
cannot take fill up. Fill up. Wow.
fill up. Okay. You just take a quarter and then go to manage it. As Fashola once said, Fashola, I remember when they wanted to increase fuel price the first time, and we confronted Fashola that people said, now what it means is that the cost of filling our tanks will be great. The Fashola said, is your tank a store? Why must you fill your car tank? So people, is capable of defending any situation, in a manner that will confound even you, the listener. He said, is your car a store? Why are you filling your tank? So now, what he said back then, I just remembered that, this man said this to us at the airport hotel that day. Today, you have a choice.
You don't have to fill
between filling your tank and just taking what you need.
Now, when you look at the pushback against this subsidy, I remember listening to a voiceover, a track from former Finance Minister Okonjo-Iweala. By the time they attempted to remove the subsidy, the mother was kidnapped. The Ojota rally, Jonathan tried, but there was this Ojota rally that stopped him from implementing the subsidy. If this administration eventually succeeds, in removing this subsidy, it's even to governments that will come, it will be a thing of joy that has been a burden that Nigeria has been carrying for years.
Well, in the first place, I think just like Babagide said, in the Nigerian Labour Congress, we are also workers. We are stakeholders. So, and the NLC is one of the oldest labor unions, central labor unions, since 1978. The TUC, I think, since 1960. So they always earn our respect. However, the labor unions are not immune from constructive criticisms. So I think on the subsidy, we are all concerned because we are also workers, We are concerned about weighing the options, that in what will be to the best advantage of Nigerians. We all want to live, a good life. But we are also realistic about the circumstances we find ourselves. We have 77 trillion debt on the ground, Then even just, I think today, OPEC, part of the recommendations of OPEC is they are going to cut global oil production. So it means that even what has been allocated to Nigeria to stabilize the price globally, we have to go down. But even let's say we are producing 2 million barrels a day. That's just about 1 barrel to about 100 Nigerians. So that's about 500 naira for 1 Nigerian per day.
That is not talking about
thieves. Yes, not talking about the fact that we are not even meeting up to this production quota. And then we are talking about oil theft. And then we are talking about corruption. Also, so we are in a dilemma. And I think, response to instinct is not what we need at this moment. We need to actually sit down. We need to critically look at the issues beyond sentiments, beyond euphoria. And I think the NLC should see itself as a critical stakeholder, to work with the government to see how they can come out with a common ground that will be able to meet, to allay the fears and aspirations of the mystery that Nigerians are going through.
Okay, so let's quickly take this, Brother Wale. Let me stop you there. We continue immediately. We come after this time out.
My name is Tain Jack Rich. As you all know, that Nigeria is not only the largest economy in Africa, but the most populated country in Africa. And report has it that by 2050, Nigeria will be the third largest population outside India and China. But Africa, despite the fact that its population today is about 1.42 billion, only accounts for about 3% of global trade. That's about $2.5 trillion. Not even close to the state of California. So it's not enough to talk about a challenge, but let's talk about a solution. And that solution has to be sustainable. What we need is the integration of Africa in the global political and economic value chain so Africa can access the right technologies and the right nuance. What we need is to build the right industrial gateway and ensure that local communities have access to technologies through broadband and other medium to be able to pursue a life of self-dignity. And that's the way that we can help families that are struggling to have access to the right, opportunity to grow the needs of their families. And low-income communities and low-income families can also access opportunities. Please pass this message to lawmakers and policymakers here in the United States to try the best to include African Union as part of G20 economies, and also to try his best to include a country that is called Nigeria as a member of the G20, so Nigeria and Africa can access opportunities and litanies of whatever is available within the technology space that have been matured to grow opportunity for those families that are really struggling. This project has started and I am out of it right now. It's a movement that we cannot, backpedal. And I want to say to you that listen to me and those who are here and the next speakers, please let's work together to support this beautiful initiative for the good of humanity. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you for staying with us. This is a journalist hangout. Before we went on that break, we were talking about the aftermath of the call off of strike by the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress.
I think it makes sense, frankly, to take the decision that they have taken. This will also give the other side ample time to think of what they can do by way of mitigating or interventionist measures. So both sides have enough time. Their next meeting is on the 19th of June, which gives enough time for them to think of what to bring to the table.
Yes.
So
we have Mr. Henry Ogbulue online from Abuja. Thank you for staying with us.
Yeah, hello. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
My brother, Papa, you are doing a good job.
Thank you.
You guys are doing very well. I just want to make a little intervention.
All right.
About the list Mr. President sent to the National Assembly.
Okay.
Government actually is a continuum. That is why you've not had the President announce NSA, for example, or media advisor. The job of the Senate, perspective of this, that this is the 9th Senate. 10th Senate has not been inaugurated. The proclamation will be issued by Mr. President, this same President. But even at that, the way our president democracy is supposed to end. So this is not work for President. That's why we have this. The President is not supposed to give the names of persons to be appointed as advisors to the Senate. And in this case, I must clarify, it is only the Senate that has the power to screen nominees, approve nominees from Mr. President. House Reps doesn't have a power in our system. The only exception is the NEDC Act, where it is said, okay, Senate can do the screening of the NDC council members with the cooperation or whatever backing of the House of Reps. But for some advisors, the President needs to get numbers. The Ambassador got 15 approval for 15 persons. The other got approval.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Henry Ogbulue, for the intervention. Okay. So, Jile, moving on. Let's go back to the Nigerian Labour Congress and TUC now.
Yes, I'm really impressed with the way the TUC guys, at the risk of people saying that they had fallen out with the NSC, they said, look, we do not believe in a strike. Just like that. They said they will continue the negotiation. As I said, if NSC had not joined the meeting, they would have lost face.
Yes.
Because it would then seem like, okay, it's TUC.
We said it on the program.
Yes, it will seem like it is the TUC that has the clout to negotiate with government, and whatever comes out of it, the TUC will take the credit. So Ajero and his people, they had a positive rethink, and they joined the meeting.
They joined the meeting
against what we were told before, that the only reason they can join the meeting if they reverse to status quo. Nobody reversed to status quo, but they went back to the meeting. That was the right thing to do. That was what we told them to do. You represent the workers. You can't afford to take this kind of steps. The country is broke. We needed to do something about it. So as you are thinking of the welfare, or about the welfare of your staff, of your colleagues, you must also think of the well-being of the country. If the country becomes bankrupt, we all suffer, including your colleagues.
Well, a quick one. Yeah. Part of the proposal that we'll be looking on the 19th, the proposal, TUC proposed a 200,000 naira minimum wage. Now, I don't know. When I read that, I was like, wow.
I think both parties need to be realistic. I hope the NSC used to have research and documentation department. They need to do their research very well and come to the table with figures. That has always been the tradition of labor. So that when you are talking from informed position. This is how much money Nigeria realizes in a day or in a month. Then how these are the figures. How then do we manage? And good enough, we have a chartered accountant as the president of Nigeria. So the NSC should also go back to the boardroom, get his own experts, so that when you are just demanding for 200,000, minimum wage, you must be conscious of the implication of what you are demanding for. So I hope that the NSC will do its own research very well, and not just to bandit figures. And also, I think I'm expecting the NSC to raise the issue of the past probe about subsidy. We don't need to be saying, actually, you must. The non-government organizations should also put pressure on government to ensure that stolen funds, subsidies called a scam, that people also account for that fund. NSC can play a major role in this, so that we can retrieve stolen funds. You need to identify them. Who are the people collecting this money? Like that. So that's what I expect the NSC to do. And to some of the things they need to table, that those who got these funds should be made to account for those funds. So that at the end of the day, both parties will agree based on the realities of Nigerian economy.
At least under Jonathan, some subsidy thieves were punished.
Yes.
Those of them who collected money to bring in fuel based on subsidy and diverted them to Benin Republic to go and sell. Some even sold on the high seas. The product didn't get here. So let's identify those people and bring them to book. In the last 8 years, there must have been a lot of those people.
Yes.
So where are they? Where are the people who are giving?
You have a lot of reports, probe another. What happens to those people?
What happened to the trial? Wale, thank you for your contribution. And the master himself.
Thank you.
We are here. And that are offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 p.m. Join us this Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Zubaku. Bye for now.
With total submission and gratitude to God for a life well spent, we announce the transition to glory of Mr. Tolu Ogunkoya, whose sad event occurred on the 25th of April, 2023. Burial events are as follows. Service of songs comes up at the Redeemed Christian Church of God, the Sanctuary, Tom Allen Center, Stratford, London. Date Tuesday, the 6th of June, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. Funeral service takes